What is up, Internet Land? Welcome back to the Prep Pastors Podcast. My name's The Real Kirk, and in the next chair over that away is my dear brother, The Real Phil. Phil, how's life in Alaska?
I'm in the dark here.
You
I
are
had
a little
a
dark today.
camera. Yeah, I had a camera emergency, so I'm onto my other studio camera that doesn't like to send raw data. So
Oh,
it's filming in log, right?
that's fun.
And that's
That's a good time.
not a very nice stream to send. But I'll
For
give
all
you a
the
quick
for all the
glimpse of
video nerds.
my other camera. So that's what
Oh
the real
gosh.
lighting is, and it can't seem to find and stay on focus. So we're this is better.
That is notably better. Yes, that
And
is
I am
notably
blinded
better.
by the light on your behalf.
Blinded by the light.
Yeah. Anyway, boy, we took last week off.
Yeah, we did.
You and
I
I
was in
met up,
Colorado.
talked about it, and it just wasn't really possible. You didn't have good enough signal,
I
and
didn't.
I had limited time frame to do it. And those two things
I was
were unable to come together.
I was in the mountains of Colorado baptizing young men into the faith. Death to sin,
Yeah.
alive in Christ, baby. It was awesome. We had almost 90 people show up to that retreat. A bunch of young men, stellar young men. And they got to praise Jesus. They got to do survival skills stuff, fire building, medical, shelter building, axe throwing, all kinds of great stuff. And a bunch of kids got saved or rededicated their lives. And we took them right straight down to the river. The river was raging. It was crazy. It was over the top, like literally over its banks. And Sunday morning, God caused the log to jam up right next to the baptism pool where we normally do baptisms. I've been going to this
Yeah.
camp for 20 some years, and it created this
I don't know.
perfect eddy. It was awesome. Such a miracle. God sends miracles. He sends what we need. It's really good stuff.
You over there looking for snakes to serve as staffs so you could raise your hands and
I was
he's like,
ready.
no, I
I
got
was ready.
this.
I got this, man. I got this. So it's gonna throw down. I was gonna throw down my staff and let God turn it into a snake. That's right. And if you can't tell, I
Yeah.
definitely have. I picked up some kind of funk in the great communist republic of Colorado, and I probably caught. I'm
Yeah.
expelling some communism from my sinus cavity.
That's
So
probably what
yeah, but my immune
yeah.
system, Phil,
No,
my immune system, like it stops the communism. It just gets in the sinuses and I snot rocket it right out of me, and I got no time or room for communism in my life.
yeah.
I will not I will not be cutting off any genitals of any children, unbeknownst to their parents. Absolutely not. In fact, when we baptize kids, we call and ask permission of their moms and dads in case they want them to get baptized at their church instead of up at camp, or if they would like to come up to camp and see their kid get baptized. It's because we're not the left. We don't do life altering scenarios to children unbeknownst to their parents.
Yeah. I have not encountered that one, but that's not a bad idea.
I saw a meme the other day that was like,
Yeah.
what if conservative teachers started baptizing children in the classroom, unbeknownst to their left wing parents?
Yeah. What would happen? I'd like to hear that one.
They'd burn the world down. They'd burn the world down.
Of course they would. Of course they would. Well,
Yeah,
let's just be honest. Evil, which is another name for the left, refuses to compromise. They're master manipulators,
absolutely.
and they're so delusional that they believe most of the lies themselves.
And I'll say that
So
we must refuse to compromise with them. We must. There is no
I
middle
agree.
ground any longer. What fellowship does light have
That
with
middle
darkness?
ground is called lukewarm. It's the
That's right.
lukewarm middle. It's the tolerant, ignorant.
Too many
So
years, man.
uh,
Too many years. I watched a lot of Christians get sucked down the road of, Bill Clinton's like safe, legal, rare. scenario for abortion, and we should have fought back then. We should have been like, no, no safe, legal, rare, never, nope, legal, not legal, no. Life of the mother. That's the only one that I'll fight for. Period. And that's about the mother's conviction there. So
Yeah, weirdly, the evil left have a lot in common with communism and those who are, I guess, considered to be extreme Islam, but really it's all Muslims. In that
yes,
they're very patient and they are in a generational battle because they know that we have very short memories, mostly because we're busy working and raising children and doing stuff. Um,
right.
and, those don't really follow their interests. So, they've
Well,
been
we
on
want to
this
be left
plan
alone.
to take teachers for generations. And
Yeah,
their time is kind of here. They are making their play that they're thinking now's the time and they're going to make it go.
100%,
So,
100%.
yeah, it's pretty awful. But what are you going
Oh,
to do
it's
other than
very awful.
refuse to compromise, like you said? And evil needs to be called out where it
Absolutely,
stands. So
absolutely.
that's what you do. And if you're uncomfortable with that, um, it's time for some self-examination of just how
Yes,
much evil are you perpetuating yourself and allowing to continue and really embolden and strengthening by doing nothing. So
agreed, agreed,
uh, just as God will spit out the lukewarm, those people make me sick as well. So
agreed, agreed.
my time
Well, hey,
of
on
patience
happier
is far.
on happier news, my we have
So you're
begun
happier now.
we have begun the bunker. We have begun the house. This is happening outside as we speak. Actually, well, he's way deeper than this now. This was a couple of hours ago. So
Oh, okay, yeah,
very, very exciting. Very
yeah.
exciting. So
That's
so
a very accurate Tonka toy. That's amazing.
that's a
That
very large
RC.
Tonka toy. And if you're
They
and
make
if
those
you're
things.
wondering if you're wondering, that machine is 10 feet tall. So there's a
The
lot of
tire
it in the ground at that point.
5 feet tall. Yeah. Or is that a track?
It's track.
Yeah.
Track. Yeah. I don't know that he
Yeah.
could do it with tires. It's so hard, and it's hard, and it's clay. So it's like it's got this slippery hardness to it. It's pretty special. I just watched
Yeah.
the bill. I'm just watching the bill. Just ching 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 ching. So yeah.
Yeah. Every
Anyway,
minute. Every
every
minute.
minute,
What is that? About
every
$20 a minute or so?
$20 a minute. I sure hope not. I'm in bad trouble if that's the case. No, I think it's like $2 a minute, something like that. So, um,
Well, it's not Alaska, so there's that.
yeah, it's true. So I'm very excited. He'll be back tomorrow. My dog is out of her mind. Sorry, everybody. I apologize if you can hear her constantly pacing and or trying to drag cables off. But I was also able haven't been flying the little guy around lately, so I got him out today and did some flying over the construction site. And I've got two time lapse cameras out there right now. So for those of you who are not subscribed to Free State Homestead yet, get over to Free State Homestead and hit subscribe, and you'll be able to watch the whole house, the bunker, all of it go up. I'm very excited.
You up and running on Rumble now?
No, but I need to be.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to. I want to officially get kicked off of YouTube, but that's probably silly. I need to be active on Rumble as well. It just doubles my work.
Yeah. Well,
I
no,
was
it doesn't have to.
I was excited. I was excited to find that Steven Crowder is now available on Audible, so I can listen to him on Audible.
I've been listening to him a lot lately. He's going through a hard time. Some of
He
his
is going through a
sins
hard
are
time.
finding him out.
They are.
So, uh, yeah.
They are.
Well, and I don't have time. His show is on at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. My time. It's ridiculous. It's
Right.
absolutely ridiculous. So,
Yeah,
Um,
it would be
it's
tough for you
easier
guys.
to call highlight reel.
I'm still curious as to find out whether or not it was real, or whether that video was a deep fake.
The video with him and his wife, the
Yeah, when
ring
he was
thing.
yelling his wife
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
no, it sure looked awfully real to me.
yeah.
I don't think he was ever really denied either.
Oh,
So,
well, that's possible too.
um,
I've been, like I said, I've been gone for a week, so and then
yeah,
the month of sadness, I wasn't paying attention. So,
right, yeah,
so,
yeah. I
so
mean, it was
anyway,
old, but yeah. Moving on, he didn't treat his wife well. Basically, his pregnant wife, he didn't treat her very well, and some of that
right,
was caught in a ring camera video and released during the course of ugly divorce and
right,
custody battle.
right.
Is where it came out, and we're not talking like he didn't beat her or whatever, but
No,
he didn't
he
act
was
the
very
most
unkind.
loving
He was very unkind.
way either.
Sure,
So,
right. Hey, let's
um,
hit some headlines, man. You got some intel stuff for
what
us today.
headlines? Yeah, I got a bunch. Honestly, and I can only scroll back so far. One of the larger ones that I'm concerned about, of course, there's probably three. I'd say the three primary ones that are most concerning is one, Russia has begun moving their nuclear weapons to
Yep,
Belarus.
yep.
So it's a big deal.
Big deal.
And um, along those lines, almost well at the same time, every senator, one senator from each state was issued a secure satellite phone. So that's
Yes,
not just a normal like buy it off the counter sat phone. They were
right.
given the secure sat phone. If you don't know, the U.S. military and most governments have their own communications network. It's like an internet um, that's super secure. And
Right.
um, along those same lines, China hacked that internet this last week,
Of course they did.
um, and took down a bunch of our resources in Guam while they were
Yes,
being attacked by the typhoon. So Guam has been, I don't know if you'd say devastated, but hit hard by
very hard.
a typhoon, um, the level of which was like moving semi trucks around, right? Slamming
Yeah.
stuff, tidal wave type winds and all that. So they're in a hard spot. And if you are also not aware, we have a very large military base there. That's where we kind of pre-position and refuel and repair and
Yep.
gain our first strike abilities for
Yes.
all of the Pacific. It's not the only place, but it's a large and important place. And
Yes.
so that's why China is constantly, um, working on stuff. So these things tend to be precursors to violent actions. So every single one of these things that we just mentioned
Yeah.
are the sorts of things that happen right before a violent action. So
Yes.
when Pearl Harbor happened, kind of famously, we showed it in movies and otherwise, and most people understand that, like the Japanese cleared out their embassy. The
Right.
Japanese called all their people out of the country. They made some moves kind of at the last minute to not tip people off, and our people, you know, largely ignored it. So
Right.
those are the sorts of moves that are happening by Russia and China right now. Um, and so it's good reason for us to be aware. And clearly, people in our own government are making moves as well.
Right.
So there are still the same devastating, horrible things that the evil left are doing in our country. So,
Let me back up. Let me back you up just a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe all the senators have been offered the sat phones, but they've only gotten 50% of them done. Is that right? So that the senators will be receiving, all of them will be, and then they will. But they wanted to make sure that one from each state, probably the Democratic one from each state, the Democrat from each state got them first, and then they're going to go back through and get the others done too. Is that correct?
I don't know that to be correct, but I don't
Okay.
know it to be incorrect either.
Okay.
So I don't have but the story that I had read, and I know it was repeated on Daily Wire, and I didn't read it there. Uh, like for instance, in Alaska, um, it's very likely that Sullivan, who already has the security clearance and sits on more important committees, probably took the sat phone.
Right.
Um, so I don't know if it's the Democrat. No, actually, there would be issues with issuing these phones to Democrats in a lot of cases because so many of them are unable to hold security clearances.
Right.
So, like Swalwell, sleeping with the
Like
Chinese spy
Swalwell.
and still,
Sure.
yeah. And AOC's another similar one who's done a lot of things that have violated her security clearance as well. And of course, we coddle them and
Well,
just let them keep playing their communist games while they
then we've got that. Then
send
we've got that
uh,
crazy Republican too. The Republicans aren't much better. They got that wild Republican that was basically found out he lied about every single thing that he ran on, and I think they just indicted him the other
well, that's like all of them, but
day.
Stuart Rhodes was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison for seditious conspiracy of January 6th, and he was the founder of Oath Keepers.
Aha.
So, so there's that. Meanwhile, there are still more than 100 people that have not seen the light of day, nor have they seen a trial.
Yeah.
Now that we're going on 3 years, over
I
3 years
know
now,
that.
um,
I know that a
we're going
lot.
on
I
3.
know that a lot of people got released after the whole Tucker video thing. I mean, even the Buffalo Shaman got house arrest and released.
Yes,
But there
people
are still,
were. Yep. That gained some movement, and others have been allowed to let go because they compromised and settled and took the felony charges.
sure,
And at this point, those who are holding out and refusing to, you know, admit to things they didn't do, those are the ones that are still being held.
right.
So, let's see. Germany admitted today that they are in a terrible recession and are hit hard. Of course, that really isn't news. It's just
No,
that they can no longer hide it. So similar to our own politicians, and they like to lie and pretend like we're not having devastating effects due to their decisions and bad decisions,
right.
um, un- until it can no longer be hidden, and then they try to minimize it. So that happens in other countries as well.
Right.
And the same thing that happened in the White House. So we had the White House got some idiot tried to run a U-Haul through it, and then
Right.
some very clearly planted Nazi flag was paraded around in front of some media that are got a call to be there before the hit so they could film.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of
Good
hokey
times.
shit that the FBI does to invent. We call them false flags. Um,
Yep.
they pulled a real flag out of the false flag so they could have images of Nazis, and now Biden's talking about anti-Semitism today. But
Right.
the same thing happened in London this morning. So
Interesting.
not to be undone by our idiots. The idiots over there in London did the same thing. It's like
Yeah,
you can't make these things up.
it's true. It's true.
But
I
if you don't
well,
ever watch,
I think the biggest thing that should be concerning to people, especially in I don't care about the dumb little false flags. They're building to something obviously, but the thing that's more
yeah,
concerning to me are these sat phones. I mean, they are clearly planning on a communication downfall. They're clearly planning
communication
on
interrupt.
us. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that tells me that we definitely need to be looking at, planning for, and getting our comms like squared away. So, I mean, that to me, whether that be ham radio or GMRS or some kind of digital system that we can roll out, I'm
but it
definitely working on some of those things.
would be nice to have some effective long range communications. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know that that's going to happen. But you need to look at your own local situation. How far, what's the topography of your land? How far do your loved ones need to travel away from whatever your home center is? And,
sure.
don't forget the old fashioned wired comms. You can
Yeah,
create a closed system communication through wires very cheaply,
absolutely,
very cheap and
absolutely.
effective. You could build that, stuff that runs off of a little tractor battery.
Yep.
Um, can easily have. You don't have to buy World War II, comms and old military gear. You could go down to Home Depot and make yourself a closed telephone loop system for a couple $100 at most.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and
absolutely. If you
it's
had a really
really
tight
not
knit
hard to do.
neighborhood
So
or you're a little family compound, you could easily do that.
on those wires. And if you
Yeah.
are, if you live on your own land, it's not hard to bury wires. And that's really the
No.
best way to do them because then it's much more difficult to tap into those. But if you want to know a secure comm, that is the original secure comm was a wire. If you can protect the wire from being tapped into, then um, no one knows what you're saying. Of course, you can't have one of these around because these are listening at all times.
All times.
There's a
At all
reason why you
times.
no longer take batteries. None of these new ones will let you take a battery out. You
Yep.
cannot turn
That
them
was
off.
that was by plan and design.
Sure. Well, that and people do stupid things, and these batteries will blow up. So, which is another useful thing if you're not aware. Um,
Yeah.
a cell phone battery lighting off is a very effective tool. Um, but they
I
make
imagine it
you should have little Faraday bags. I like Mission Essential. No, not Mission First. That's what it was.
mission first.
Mission First. They're
Yeah, they're great.
they're expensive.
Yeah.
But it's not expensive to get a little bag big enough for your phone. So
Yeah, I was
I,
gonna
I
say it's not bad. The phone bag is not that expensive. You're talking between 30 and
no,
50 bucks. I mean,
I think it's in the $20 to $30 range for little phones. I think it's much closer to $50 for my larger tablets, and I know my laptop ones are over 100. And then I have
right,
one that is a backpack, kind
right.
of looks like a dry bag and works like a dry bag, and it's a full size
Sure.
backpack, and I keep a number of things in there. And that one was closer to $300.
I
So,
see.
um, those very things. But I carry around, so I have two phones, and I carry around little EMP Faraday bags next to these phones at all times, so they can just be slipped in there if need be.
Right.
Um, whether you need that or not, I don't know. Depends on what you're up to. I'm not saying I'm up to nefarious things, but um, if I catch word that something's happening in Los Anchorage, maybe there's time to slip a couple comm devices into Faraday bags. I don't know. I
Right.
keep a bunch of stuff in them all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
I've got a
and
handful of
so
ham radios, little handheld ham radios that I keep always. Their
these
batteries, their
these
chargers,
use a
everything else.
program called Meshtastic, and the Meshtastic is a free download.
Yeah.
You can take your SIM cards out of these, do airplane mode, SIM card, whatever, right? Find a way to make them not work with towers. And Meshtastic works off of Bluetooth to your phone, and then
Yeah.
it goes to another device. Usually it's a LoRa, and they're running on anywhere from the upper 800s to the upper 900 megahertz frequencies. Most
Okay.
common is most people are running 915. So, and then that is line of sight, antenna to antenna, and then back to another Meshtastic device, and you can have repeater stations, and they run anywhere from $20 to $100 a piece, depending on how you want them set up. So, I'm still experimenting with self-contained repeaters that have a solar and a battery to get through the night, and so far, I can't seem to get one to last for more than a week. So, at the end of the
Just
week, it never quite goes all the way back up, and it uses too much, and it's totally dead by the end of the week. So I need something that's much more hands off that I, potentially would never have to touch. So
sounds like
bigger
you need
solar, bigger
you
batteries.
bigger solar, bigger battery, or you need to figure out a way that you could set it on a timer to where it only engages between X and X time per day and then shuts down.
There are ways. And yes, there are ways to do that, and that is something that we're experimenting with as well. But man, I don't know if we have time to finish setting all that up before what's coming is coming. And
Boy, I don't know.
um,
I don't know about that. Probably not.
it's
So I
tough.
don't know.
It's tough.
Um,
And
the
so
other thing,
there, along those lines, in Alaska, we just had a new service dog put into work with our troopers who specializes in sniffing out electronic devices.
electronic devices
So
and cell phones.
uh,
Yep.
that is the new thing. It's coming with grant money that is, at face value. They're saying this is to fight sexual predators and go after people doing child pornography, right? So the
Sure.
hidden thumb drives or hard drive, whatever it is that they have. Um, the
Going in and
reality
finding
is,
contraband in prisons. That's how they got it done in Oregon. That's how they got their fleet their 5 or 6 dogs in Oregon was they justified it because they're gonna use them to search the prisons.
the feds want these dogs out there, and they are working very hard to train them up and give them away and get them in the field because they are scared to death of us communicating and
Yes,
coordinating in a fashion that they cannot hear and regulate. So, they'll
absolutely.
find your little USB running tails. They will find your LoRa device mounted up in the gutter. Um, they, make no question, our federal government is actively tooling up and spooling up to commit war on its citizens.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And
adjust.
the biological war did not get them the amount of control that they needed or wanted, and so now they
It's coming.
are
We've
going.
given up
They're
there.
coming.
They are injecting cows and chickens and you name it.
Oh
Any
yeah.
sort of meat
Oh
that
yeah.
we eat getting injected with the mRNA virus.
Well, and they don't even
So,
have to do that right now. They're just walking into dairies, meat processing plants, and chicken houses and going, "These animals are all sick. Cull them all right now." And
yep,
if they capitulate and they cull all the animals, then they get paid higher than market value than what those animals are worth. If they say
right.
no, we're gonna see how this goes, and then if they get sick, which we all know they absolutely would if you were to not capitulate with the government, they would
They find ways.
then they get nothing.
Yeah.
So these farmers who have based
No,
everything on this harvest, they live harvest to harvest. We talk about how most Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Well, all of our farmers live harvest to harvest. They cannot afford to lose one harvest. If they do, they're done.
yep.
So
It's a crazy world. It really is, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse, and it's
yeah,
happening. We've been in the slow burn for a while, and I think you and I are both
absolutely.
starting to agree that it's accelerating. I don't know if the
Yeah,
switch will ever get turned to make it a quick burn, but it's accelerating. The slow burn is accelerating. So, I do my part to educate. Of course, that we have the show, but I speak with all the people that I run into. I am amazed at how many people have no idea about FedCoin coming in a month and a half from now. Um,
literally a month and a half. Fed. What do they call it? Fed
we are
Go, Fed
six
Now.
weeks away.
6 weeks.
We are 6 weeks away from the digital currency being rolled out and mandatory,
And if you look at
which very likely
what's
means
coming, look at
we are
what's coming
12
in
to
the next
18
six
months
weeks.
away from no more paper money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah. What's
and
happening in the
probably
next 6
well
weeks?
well so there like we talked about when I was driving home, they're gonna announce the inflation numbers next week. That's gonna tank
And they're
the
back.
markets. They're very bad, and they still won't tell you how bad they are. They'll spin it to where it's
They're
like, oh, they're up but they're cooling, and they're slowing, and da 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 da. The problem is don't forget, those inflation numbers don't actually factor anything that really matters to you. That doesn't factor fuel, it doesn't factor housing, and it doesn't factor food. So those inflation numbers, we know that they are between 10 and 15%. Depending on where you are, some are saying even if you live in major metropolitan areas, food's 20% inflation right now. But if you live, more rurally, like we try to, well, I don't have to buy a lot of food. I've got a breeder pair of pigs coming next week. I've got my feeder pigs are coming next week. One of those pigs is already sold. After I get it raised up, I mean, we're going to help cover cost, all those things. So we don't feel the inflation quite as bad. So inflation numbers are coming out. They're going to up the debt ceiling next week, and when they do that, that's going to
Yeah.
further tank the markets. And you couple those two things with Fed Now or Fed Go or whatever they call it, Fed Coin, guys, it's bad. And don't have any illusions that there's any blockchain or any protection inside of Fed Now. They did a test run in Nigeria, and 4% of the population. So the same thing they're trying to roll out for us, they rolled it out in Nigeria first. These warlord countries where their quote unquote president is, you can bribe him to do whatever you want. So they just did a test bed in Nigeria. Like when they want to roll out a bunch of new vaccines or something like that. Let's just see how many villages die. Yeah, I'm not saying that ever happened. I'm not saying that ever happened. But
I'm
they'll
saying
roll.
how many times because I don't know a lot.
There you go. But right, exactly. But if you look at those, they rolled it out. 4% of Nigeria signed up. The rest of the country told them to pound sand. The only way that we will be able to stand up against Fed Now and I don't know, the way they're doing it here is different. So I don't know that we will be able to stand up against it very much because they're going to roll it out. They're going
They're
to make it
forcing it
mandatory for
in at the
every
bank
federal
level.
employee.
Bank. Every federal employee, every DoD, but it's also mandatory for every FDIC bank. So in order for this whole like money exchanges hands from bank to bank and things settle at night, and people kind of know a little bit about that, and sometimes
Right.
those markets have been in trouble. So what's being required is anyone who's settling bank to bank has to settle in this currency.
Right.
So your bank is going to push this on you. And
Well, so
if you have a
the
loan that
initial,
by FHA or USDA or anything that is owned by the feds, you're going to have to utilize that Fed coin to make your mortgage
absolutely,
payment.
absolutely,
And so that's how this is going to get forced on people.
sure,
And I don't know how long it's going to be. We're really speculating. I think it'll be about a year. I just can't
yeah.
decide. But at some point, paper currency is going to no longer be allowed,
Well, yeah,
and they're
they'll
going to be
just quit.
required to turn that in. And I just can't decide if that's going to happen right away or if they'll, give it a couple of years. Again, it kind of depends on how slow they can get people to do this. But if they're not getting what they want, they'll push it. Could all get pushed if they think DeSantis is going to win because he'll undo this.
Yeah, he will. He
I
will
don't think
undo it.
Trump
I
will.
think
I
he's
think
trying
Trump will
to.
roll with it.
I think Trump will roll with it. I do. I think he will. Because DeSantis is like a lot of well, not a lot, but a handful of states are scrambling, trying to make it illegal in their states. I think Montana, South Dakota,
Yeah.
Florida. There's a couple more. I'm sure hoping Missouri gets on board.
They've been so infiltrated. Texas, Montana, obviously Colorado's lost,
Yeah, Colorado's
but
lost.
and Oregon has been lost. Washington has lost. But again, when we say that the evil Democrats fight
Yeah,
generationally, that's what we mean. They
exactly.
are on a plan to take over. They don't mind taking generations to train and indoctrinate and to physically relocate.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
it is wild. It's too much for the average person to think of, and most people just reject it at face value because well, how can there be such an evil plan? Well, because they forget who's running the plan.
Well, don't forget
And
who the king of this world is. Don't forget right
no,
now
I get it. We
until
win in the end.
until
There's like this in between time that's going to suck.
yeah.
and it's because good people said nothing at the beginning, because good people have done nothing to stop it, and so we've allowed this cancer in so far that the treatment of cutting it out and radiating it, fighting it, is pretty extreme now.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely. It is.
the
It's
average
terrible.
person,
It's
just like a lot of cancer patients, the average person would just prefer to go home and die rather than do that
absolutely.
treatment. I
Absolutely.
get it. So I get it. You can think of it that way.
Yeah.
Democrats are a cancer, and that line of logic works.
Yeah. Certainly I would go as far as saying that leftists are a cancer. And I think, because I mean, I do still think that there are some moderate, you know, Democrats out there that like social programs but don't like to murder babies. But I'm not far away from what Phil just said. I'm not certainly not trying to bicker with him. I think that you know,
I think those people make me more sick, because I don't blame evil for being evil. I blame those that are in the middle that with supposed good
sure,
intentions, that turn a
sure.
blind eye to what evil is doing
No, I
because they
agree.
don't want
That
to believe it. They're the ones that
that's accurate.
are sick.
Yeah, that's accurate. There's no question that that's true. And right now, it doesn't. It's not a to me now. It's not about the left or the right. It's not about conservatives versus leftists. At this point, I think both wings are attached to a dying bird. And I don't see more than a handful of conservative politicians that I would trust with any level of access to my life. Like I mean, all of the guys that are out there. I mean, that maybe
The few
Johnson,
that
maybe
don't
a
want
couple of people.
gets um, doesn't want it. He doesn't want access. He doesn't want to have to do this.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly,
I believe that.
exactly,
Uh,
for sure.
so, like most good leaders, ones that would rather not but feel no choice, you make the best leaders.
Correct. Absolutely. So, more headlines. We got,
Right? Or where do you go from here? So I
yeah,
think what we're saying is make sure your local comms are covered. So when your cell phone stops working, or maybe you should stop having conversations on your cell phone. It's time to start coming up with a plan to do that.
correct,
So
correct. Yeah, I mean, there's
get ready
not a
for
whole
the
lot of,
internet to be down and bank accounts to not work. That's what you need to get. That's
absolutely.
what we're saying. In the next 6 weeks, there will be bank glitches where you don't have access to your money. And I think we warned about it a couple weeks ago, but credit is tightening. So because of
Yep,
the numbers in our economy, and because a lot of the commercial real estate markets are in an absolute free fall, spiraling downward with a
yep,
quickness.
yep.
Um, Banks are consolidating and trying to lower their risk. Um, if you bank with Chase, Wells Fargo, but really it's almost all credit cards. If you have
Oh
credit
yeah,
cards, they are lowering people's credit lines. They are taking a hard look at people of risk, and the risk
yep,
models are being redrawn.
yes,
Um, so it's at a tough time. So I read a statistic last week. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was one of those statistics that talks about consumer debt and debt within businesses, and um, the average consumer in our country has doubled their debt in the last year, unsecured debt. So we're talking credit cards and lines of credit and things like that. Um, People are having a hard time making ends meet, and they're making up for it with lines of credit, which are high risk, high cost. And banks are getting scared as more and more of their shareholders and customers are in increasingly riskier positions themselves. And
yes,
so, again, there's some debt realignment, some risk realignment is really what this comes down to, and that can negatively affect people. There's a lot of people in our country that live on a ragged edge of paycheck to paycheck. They are in trouble.
right,
They're in big time trouble. So if you are one of those, if you don't have 6 months of your costs, not just your bills, but like your if you could not operate like normal for 6 months on what you have on hand, you are in a
Right.
high risk category and you
Yeah,
need to
I
take
totally agree.
measures right to do something about it. And you need to have some gold and silver or other valuables like ammunition and guns, things that are easily moved and tradable and wanted in hard times. The other one too is I tell people buy alcohol
Yeah,
because people, alcoholics that have to have it, they will pay anything to get it. And we're going to get to a point where it is every family for themselves here,
100%.
or at least group for themselves, um, have alcohol to sell.
Yes. That is a great way to go. The small airplane bottles, the cheap bottom shelf stuff that comes in plastic jugs,
Nobody's
like
really looking at that right now. As far as like you buy gold or precious metals online, that is absolutely being tracked. The IRS will
100%.
knock on your door at some point and ask
100%.
for it back, because it's going to become illegal to hold it when we have to reset our currency here in the next couple of years.
Yep.
They've done it before in our
They've done
country.
it.
It's commonly done in other countries. It's a
Yep.
very common thing. It's one of the first things that happens when our dollar completely collapses and they have to reset our currency, which is what they're getting ready to do with this digital currency. They
Yep.
will confiscate money. So if you're one of those that buys precious metals and then has it held at an exchange, get it. Do
Get
not
it.
leave it in an exchange.
Yep.
Exchanges are instantly gone. The Fed comes and
Yeah.
says all these golds are
All
ours
these
now.
belong to us, and they'll trade you some reduced dollar amount, Bitcoin, Fed coin, maybe
Yeah,
if you're lucky. But when they confiscated gold back in the 40s, right? Was it for the 40s?
I'm trying
When
to
they
remember. I think it
confiscate
was, yeah.
when they confiscated gold back in the 40s, it was they just took it. They didn't trade it. They didn't pay you. They didn't cash you out of it. It was just like, nope, that belongs to us now. And so
You're
I
you're
have
a
bought I
citizen and
have
this
bought
is how we
silver
keep our
online.
country. Oh, I've bought a lot of precious metals online, but I'm one of those that when they come asking for it, I'm not going to be nice about it.
Right?
So
Yeah. No,
I'm
I'm
okay
not
with going
either. So
out and finding out. I mean, good luck to the
I
rest
would
of you. Maybe try to find my stuff, but um, be careful. Maybe
I will
don't
say
try to find my
this.
stuff.
I
Be
have,
dangerous.
do a little bit of research about some reputable places locally. You can walk in, cash talks,
I know. Yeah, there are two precious metal exchanges that are near me, and one pawn shop I believe that maybe does it. I'm not sure on that, and they've closed up shop because they're so upside down in what they have. They're
yeah,
not exchanging.
yeah.
So that's the
They're
danger.
still selling around me. So
Yeah. Well, let's see. So what else? Have your trading fodder, and rice and
right,
beans, meat. I mean, food is good stuff to trade. People are going to need food.
absolutely.
Um, make your kids take care of their stuff because when they outgrow it, man, it sure would be nice to trade it.
Yep.
Just get ready for these lean times that are really happening now in a lot of the country, but that's going to
Yeah,
continue to spread and it's going to get worse. So I am seeing
absolutely.
layoffs.
Yep.
There are massive
Yep.
layoffs happening, certainly within the financial sector. So a lot of these banks are just trying to figure out how they're going to survive this and what's going to happen. If you don't know it, most banks are actually pretty slimy, grimy sort, like
Where they are.
at the upper levels, right? Um,
Yeah.
they've earned that reputation for a reason. The stuff that goes on behind closed doors is pretty ugly.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're not going to take a hit. They're going to pass it down, and they're trying to figure out, when every single move that they make, when every cent that moves anywhere is now watched by the feds. That's a problem for places like Wells Fargo that have a really
Absolutely.
hard time operating legally.
Absolutely.
Where that culture has permeated all the way down to the call centers. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, you and I
Absolutely.
both know people that have been involved in shenanigans at Wells Fargo, because it is
Oh,
it is the culture.
absolutely.
It's the culture,
Absolutely.
and man, it's crazy. So get ready for that. do what you can to get ready for that. Um, that solution is different for every person, but again, I think acquiring physical assets that retain value historically in lean times, or things that are available now, and probably aren't going to be available soon, those are good
Yes.
things to acquire, and a place to hold and preserve the value of your money. Put
And
your
the one thing
money
that you can
that,
take, you can kind
yeah,
of take seriously is the fact that we're a small enough channel. We're not getting sponsored by Anchor Gold, or nobody's sponsoring us. So
no,
we're not. First of all, we're not a financial advice channel. We'll say that publicly right now. Do what you want. We're just talking about what we've been working on. And I would say
no,
this, like, the biggest thing that you need to know is this is advice coming from people who have no other motivation than for you to survive the upcoming collapse. Okay, so like we're not getting paid. We're not getting paid by a gold company. J.P. Morgan isn't setting us up, for a paycheck. APMEX isn't setting us up with a commission code. You don't get a discount because you shop through our. No, none of those things are happening right now. If somebody
yeah.
wanted to talk about sponsoring the show, we wouldn't turn them away. But I think we'd have to have a little more than 26 people watching. So, but I think ultimately, this is advice. What Phil is talking about right now is something you need to pay attention to, because there's zero manipulative motivation to get your poop in a group and square your finances away right now.
Yeah, I actually have a higher motivation for you to not do these things. I have an opportunity to make money, at least locally, when
Sure,
people don't listen to advice and lose everything.
that's right.
But that's not fun work to do. I don't seek it out, and I don't like it. I will do it because
No,
it lets people move on with life. But um, yeah, I'd prefer you don't do that. So,
right.
one last thing on precious metals that I would say is, I think it is a good move, and I have personally invested in gold backs. And what we're
Goldbacks.
talking about is fractional gold. So fractional gold, it's gold is trading. It keeps hovering plus or minus $50 at $200 an ounce. And so for the average transaction, I mean, that might be good for a mortgage payment, assuming you can find someone willing to take it. I don't know what else you're going to be acquiring and moving around here once you know this digital currency rolls out. But for the most part, silver's heavy, and silver right now, right about $25 to $28 an ounce, and so there's a significant difference in value for the size and weight. Fractional
Right.
gold makes a lot of sense,
It does.
and fractional
It
gold
really
is
does.
available from what's worth about $2.50. Most of the single dollar bills, all the way up to 50s. I'm trying to remember if that's like half an ounce, or no, I don't think it's that much. I think it's I think it's
No,
a
it's like
tenth of an.
yeah, it's like a tenth of
I
an
think it's a
ounce. It's the
tenth of an
biggest.
ounce.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the point is you can still get them, and they do make a limited amount each year, so they run out, and more states are getting on the bandwagon. I think there's 4 states now that are accepting that you can walk into any store and spend
Right.
it. It is legal
Right.
currency in that state.
Yeah.
So if you live in one of those states, then I'd be heavily investing in this. Um,
Absolutely.
but but even around where I live, there are a number of people, including me, that would accept it in
Right.
exchange for services and goods. I'd be more than happy to perform my professional services in exchange for gold backs and other precious metals, and more people in
Absolutely.
my community are happy to do that as well. I know
Yeah.
that I've got a wedding to officiate coming up here before much longer, and that's probably what I'll push for. Um,
Yeah.
my little
Sure.
side hustle of being officiating. What do I do? Like one every 2 3 years. It's a shame because I like it and I'm good at it, but
I
uh,
got to head back out. I
maybe
got to
I'll.
head back out to the Communist Republic of Oregon in a few weeks and go officiate a wedding. So
Stand at
no,
the
right.
door.
Okay. So right now it looks like, and this is spot. Okay. So you're going to pay over this, but if you were to go someplace and buy
I
it,
can live
AP
right.
Max. AP Mex right now, gold is down $23.40, putting it at $1,953. It's been hovering right around 2,000 an ounce for the last few weeks.
It
That's
has.
not obscene. And it's not a big enough drop that I'd get like really bent out of shape to buy right now. Um, Silver is down 40 cents at $22.99 per ounce now. Again, that's just spot. So you're going to pay a premium. Now, I'm noticing on AP Mex, now again, if you buy online, that they're going to track every single one of these purchases. Okay. So don't be surprised if you're going to have to defend it or like say, I gave it away to people. It's graduation season. Because that, by the way, silver is a very popular graduation
You
gift.
choose it. It is, yeah.
And
Let's see.
so
The
right
Good Friday
now,
exchange rate right now is sitting at $4.02 per dollar. So a
right,
thousandth of an ounce
right,
is worth $4.02 according to the Goldback Exchange, which is the one of the best places to buy them. Um, Low
yes,
premium. And Goldbacks
yeah,
themselves have somewhat high premium. So traditionally those who stack currency say not to buy Goldbacks because the premiums are very high. And that is
right,
really good advice. It's good financial advice. If your intent is to buy precious metals, wait until they're worth a lot more and then sell them. And that is
yeah,
not what we're talking about
no,
in any way. We are talking about when banks collapse, when this new Fed currency, you know, starts taking place and you don't want or aren't allowed, because that's what's going to happen is your social credit score is not going to be good enough. Your
right,
Facebook post that you made is going to, suspend you for 30 days. And
right,
they're not going to, they're not going to allow you to spend your money at a gun store, right?
right,
Because guns are bad, or whole milk is bad, or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah,
insert whatever the government doesn't want you to do.
right,
This is what you're going to use, and it's
yeah,
going to be illegal.
yeah,
So we're telling you that. So it might
yeah,
be a good idea to get the stuff now. It's not illegal
right,
because there will be a black market where this will be one of the primary currencies. And what's
yeah,
worth $4 now, I believe, will be worth an equivalent of $10 to $20 later. So it is
sure.
absolutely time to invest now.
So I will say
That's what
this:
I'm.
if you're looking for tangible silver, not fractional gold, fractional silver, if you're not looking for gold backs, tangible silver. Right now, APMEX has a what they call a Pioneer bar, which is a 5 ounce cast, poured silver bar that has a Pioneer metals. It's more rustic looking. It's not the super pretty
It's a
APMEX
less
1 ounce bars. Yeah,
premium. Yeah.
it's these are 5 ounce bars, but what's special about them is the only premium is $3.49 over spot if you buy them in the 5 ounce bars. So
Total for
yeah, so
not
the
per
total would be $132.45 for one 5 ounce bar, which is outstanding. And
could
it's
be.
even lower if you want 10 ounce bars, which 10 ounce bars you're starting to get into cumbersome to move around and I mean
I like to.
hard to throw in a backpack. Yeah. You like
Yeah,
10 ounce?
I like that. I do. I like 10-ounce bars.
Okay.
It's the equivalent of what about $250 on average.
Yeah.
They're probably
So
closer to
right
300.
now, yeah, so right now you can get if you want 10 ounce bars, you can do 299 is the premium, which is very low. That's a very low premium.
Yeah.
And so right now 10 ounce bars are 259.90. And so that's a really pretty great price. If you're looking for precious metals, that's a probably pretty but again, buying online,
So the thing
it's a
about
gamble.
well, whatever. Just be ready to again account for it. I mean,
Right.
I know that the place that I'd be careful what I say here. So,
Yeah,
um,
OPSEC.
I have people in my life that I pay bills to that are willing to accept precious metals.
Right.
They're into cash equivalent. That's my point. So for
Right.
me, I'm looking at amounts that equivalent to certain recurring bills. and then that's a good way to
Yeah.
go. So I'm ensuring that I can cover the bills that I need to cover through lean times of our things collapsing. Because our whole point here, again, you're not buying this as an investment to turn and flip it later. That is possibly something that could happen. What we're really saying is that right now, an ounce, if you a 1 ounce coin will buy you $25 worth of stuff anywhere that accepts it.
Right.
You're going to win that. Let's just say it's a haircut, right? Let's say it's a haircut at a barbershop, because that is about $25 right now with a tip. Um, right now, an ounce of silver will cover that, or $25. 6 months from now, potentially, it's going to cost $50.
Right.
But he'll still do it for an ounce of silver. You are preserving your wealth,
Right.
by putting into physical assets that don't lose value. We talked about the example a bunch of times ago. The $20 gold piece would buy you a suit and shoes,
Right.
and everything that a man needed to go get a job, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and now $2,000, it does about the same thing. So throughout history, going back even well over 100 years, what you can buy with the equivalent amount of gold or silver, it tends to stay the same, but our cash
Yeah.
doesn't. So, all
And
right.
I would say
I think
this. I
that
would say this. If you listen, if you don't have your food stuff put away, if you don't
food
have your
first.
defensive, if you food first, defensive stuff. You don't have your defensive stuff. If you don't have rifle, pistol, handgun, rifle, pistol, shotgun for everybody in your family. Like I would tell you, don't worry at all about silver or gold. Worry about getting the things that you need to be able to do 6 months with no power, six
I think
months
it's
with,
more like a Ramsey thing. I think there's a minimum level that you should have. And to me, that
right.
minimum level is the equivalent of 100 ounces of silver. One gold coin worth an ounce of gold or 100 ounces of silver. That's where
Yeah.
I think are really 200 ounces. But like that's your minimum.
Yeah.
And then the other things. And then your other minimums are, again, a sidearm, a shotgun, and a carbine or a rifle per person, some body armor. Like there are some basic categories. And then from there you can go back and start stocking up in the other things like your airline bottles of alcohol that you can use as
Yeah.
currency. But
There
every
you go.
situation is different. And if you don't have the means of doing precious metals right now, or like what we're finding, they're running out, they're flat out running
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Getting more difficult to find, and you miss that boat, well, maybe you can still get alcohol, or maybe you live in a place where you can buy, lots of beans and things like that because you're, one of those warehouses that'll actually come to you, right? What you call the one down there that you guys use, Azure or something?
Azure Standard. Yeah.
There you
They're
go.
out of Oregon, but yeah.
Um, that's the sort of stuff we're talking about. Take advantage of your opportunities and look around your community and look and see what's going to be needed where you live.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. I think that's a pretty great place to end on. That's right. That's right about our hour. Listen, I hope moreover than not, I hope you're on your knees. I hope you're listening to the Holy Spirit. I hope you got your Bible open. I hope you're looking at those things so that you can
Yeah.
see what's happening around you. Discernment's going to matter and be more valuable than any other piece of thing that you've got. And that is only accessible through the Holy Spirit. You can't
Right.
fake supernatural discernment. You can't, and you can't buy it. All you can do is receive that from the Holy Spirit. And so, if the Holy Spirit's telling you to cash out the mutual funds, then that's what you better be doing.
Right.
Listen to the Holy Spirit. So,
Yep.
yeah, I got some
Learn how
pretty
to listen
strange
to
looks
that
today.
voice. I bet. Uh,
Yeah,
Pay attention because God will speak to you. He wants you to be prepared. He wants you to succeed. He does not want you to want. He wants you to be responsible and able to care for your family and fulfill your
correct,
roles. And will provide ways for you to do it. But
correct.
like the person waiting on the roof in a flood, right? And 10 people go by that could have rescued. Oh no, I'm waiting for God. You know, don't
Jeep,
be that person. Don't
boat,
be that idiot.
helicopter. Yep.
Yep.
Jeep, boat,
Get in the
helicopter.
boat.
Don't be standing in front of the God of the universe going, I was waiting for you to save me. And the God of the universe look you in the eye and call you a jackwagon. I sent you a Jeep, a boat, and a helicopter, you fool. Right? So hey, there you go. We love you guys. We really,
Yeah.
really appreciate you watching and tuning in. If you've made it all the way to this point in the show, which 90% of people will not, we want to say thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are
Oh,
the reason why we do this. Oh, there you go.
you'd miss out
Flashing stuff.
on the EDC. What do you got? I get a little.
My EDC is currently in the truck, so
Oh,
I'm sad to say. I know. Got
tell me there's
lots of
something with
medical.
arm. You know, oh my God.
Well, I
All right.
was in the communist state of Colorado, so I had to make some changes.
Oh,
So,
so you have like
uh,
North Americans, little shooters, and
there you go, you guys. All right, well, we love you. We really appreciate you. You guys have a great day. Get prepped.